same day that you were sworn in as supervisor, you were also voted in as board president.
That is true.
So you just walked out of there with a whole lot of workload.
It was a bit of a surprise for me.
Did you have any idea? I mean, well, everybody, I guess, would assume that maybe there's a maybe, but did you have any kind of premonition? Did you wake up and just feel presidential that
To
day?
be honest, I really didn't. And I didn't actively seek the board presidency. I would have been perfectly happy for a number of my colleagues to serve in that role. I think in recent years, as I'm sure you know, the Board of Supervisors has been a bit of a fractious place.
Yes.
And folks have not necessarily always gotten along. And I think that was sort of part of the reason why some of my colleagues didn't necessarily all coalesce around one of their own veteran supervisors and turn to a freshman supervisor to take the helm.
And so you're confident that you're going to be able to come in and be the referee, for lack of a better word, to get these together and bring Gavin in there and come together, because the city needs such strong, partnership here to get this done. It really, there's the crime, there's the homelessness, there's transportation. Muni was like 45 minutes late for the show today. All these things that I see that really need to be dealt with. And when people are arguing, it's really difficult. So do you have hope to bring that, to unite the supervisors and the mayor and get this going forward for us?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I would like, and I think many of my colleagues would like, to figure out how we bring a new tone of interaction, a new tone of civility and cooperation on the board. Obviously, we are in San Francisco, and there will always be a tremendous diversity of opinions. But I think what I would like is for my colleagues and for the mayor to interact in a respectful way, where we can talk about the things that we may disagree upon and disagree about what we disagree on, but figure out what are common points of interest and common points of agreement and move forward. As you pointed out, we have so many challenges this year, probably the biggest one being the budget. And I think we are not going to be able to bring down homicides, make Muni go faster, or address our budget shortfall unless we can agree to disagree and hopefully agree to agree. I think as a community in San Francisco, we are blessed to have a lot of community leaders,
Yeah,
and
few.
to have an opportunity to work with many of these folks and move things forward. It's been an honor, and it's an incredible honor to be able to serve as a supervisor in this city, to work with many elected officials and, again, the community to move us forward into the 21st century.
We have such a wealth of community leaders in here and people that give their time, and nonprofits. I get to interview them a lot and give them the 22 minutes that they can just shine and catch somebody doing something good. What's your biggest goal for the city?
Well, I think this year my biggest goal is to work with my colleagues on the board and the mayor and the public to figure out how we are going to tackle the largest budget deficit that our city has seen in decades. We have a almost $600 million budget deficit for the next fiscal year.
Wow.
And that reflects literally half of what we refer to as the discretionary budget, which is the part of the budget that elected officials can actually touch. And so this will mean that we will see this year significant service cuts. We will see layoffs. We will see a need to really restructure how we think about our budget, and as well as potentially some revenue needs for us to raise a little bit of money to help patch up this tremendous budget hole.
Can I ask you a question? How did the budget get this far in deficit? I mean, when did this start? Is it something that crept in, or just all of a sudden, oh my God, we're out of money?
Well, I think there are a number of reasons why we are where we're at right now. The biggest reason is because the economy has collapsed to the extent to which it has, because our international economy has collapsed. We're facing a national recession, some might say close to a depression. And here locally, all of our tax sources, whether it be property taxes, whether it be hotel taxes, sales taxes, all of our traditional sources of revenues have really just dropped dramatically. And because of that, all of the things that we spend money for government to do, whether it be more buses on the streets, whether it be more police officers, whether it be more firefighters, whether it be public health clinics, social services to homeless populations, we are going to have to take a hard look and think about how we cut back. And it's going to be a very, very painful conversation. what I want to do during this time period is figure out, again, how do we all work together to share the pain and the burden of these cuts so that no one segment of San Francisco will have to bear the brunt of what we're facing today.
Yeah, because there's so many people that need help.
There really are.
Yeah.
And San Francisco, we are a city that I think really prides ourselves in our progressive values, in wanting to do a lot of good things for a lot of different folks. And again, just thinking about how we take a step back, it's going to be an important conversation for the entire year.
And I think I remember back to so many elections when they're voting for different propositions. Yes, I want to help them. Yes, 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 that money comes from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And then we have all these great ideas, but then we're totally broke.
Absolutely, and I think we are going to have to make some very difficult decisions on how we balance our priorities. And part of what I want to do at the Board of Supervisors is to use the public hearings that we have as an opportunity for our residents, our voters, our San Franciscans to help tell us where they would want us to cut and where they don't want us to cut. And again, not easy
That's going to
conversations.
be a long Board of Supervisors
I know,
meeting.
because everyone understandably wants their libraries and their parks and their police officers and their firefighters. But unfortunately this year we really can't have it all.
Are you sure you really want this job? You can back out still. It's a tough job.
It's not going to be easy, but I'm very optimistic that I do think the mayor really wants to work with the board, and I know that all of my colleagues want to move forward from sort of the dysfunctionality of the board from the past. And I'm serving with a new generation of freshman supervisors who I'm very excited about being able to serve with, and I think bring a new level of expertise that we haven't had in the past. And so I'm just, I think we have the leadership to do it. We just have to figure out how we get from point A to point B.
Wonderful. Very good. You made San Francisco history as the first Chinese American elected to the board presidency.
That is true too.
Yes. Why is that important for people to know in San Francisco? Why is the representation need to be there, and something that's a very big step for us here?
Well, the history of Chinese Americans in San Francisco goes back almost to the gold rush. Chinese Americans have lived in this city for 160 years.
Right.
And for much of that history, the Chinese community, as I'm sure many people know, have not had an easy time here in the city. During the 1800s, Chinese Americans suffered and experienced quite a bit of racism. And Chinatown, which is in my district, was an ethnic community that formed because Chinese folks weren't really allowed to live in other parts of the city. And so it is a tremendous honor to represent and really be, to really represent that community. And to be the first Chinese American board presidency has been an incredibly humbling experience, and I really do hope to make all communities proud, but I know, I certainly want to reflect well of my Chinese American community.
Yeah, I was in the paper quite a bit lately. They just were talking about how they were trying to move after the earthquake. They wanted to move Chinatown to Hunters Point, and that the people that lived there said, no, this is our area, and started building the pagodas and the temples and the beautiful architecture. It was in the Chronicle today, in order to dig their feet in and claim their ground. And it's such a wonderful way to go and have dim sum in Chinatown, and then tiramisu in North Beach, and it's just like Disneyland in San Francisco to have such culture there.
That's absolutely true. I think the one thing I would say is Chinatown also has some of the lowest income residents in my district. We have substandard housing and some real significant issues of immigrants that are looking for work and are in some of the lowest wage jobs. And so part of what I want to do is really help to move the Chinatown community forward, as I will be working with all the neighborhoods to figure out how do we move all of our District 3 and citywide neighborhoods forward.
David Chiu, it's been an honor to have you here. You
Thanks
have
for
such a
having me.
job to do. I'm going to let him go because he's really busy.
Well, thank you so much for having me here.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for joining us on SF Live. I'm your host, Christina Marie Flores.